morning, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. We are back at my home, and today we are going to have another fun day. Today we are invited out to Joanna Cassidy's house, and Scott Michaels and I are going to co-interview her. That's right, we're going to sit her down and we're just going to take turns asking questions that we're interested about. Hope you enjoy this. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. So it's a little bit more than just an interview. We're actually having a little hangout night tonight, but Joanna's been nice enough to let us ask her some questions, and we're all fans of Joanna, so this ought to be fun. All right, Miss Joanna Cassidy. One of the things that I'm kind of curious about, Joanna, I mean, when I posted the video recently of you, Scott, and I having lunch, just briefly, so many comments came in of, oh my God, I had the biggest crush on Joanna Cassidy. And it was like 5 different movies people had stories from, and I thought, you know what? Let's let Joanna tell us about her life. So how did you become an actress? Where did that start, and what was your family life like growing up? Where did you grow up?
First of all, when I run into young men, you know, and I sort of gauge their age, I know what they were doing when they were watching me, when they had their big crushes on me. So anyway, besides that, I grew up in New Jersey, and I was a scientist and an art student. I wanted to work for the National Geographic and travel, go to South America and Africa and collect butterflies.
Really?
I was a lepidopterist. Fancy word for a lepidopterist, a butterfly collector, moth collector. Like an entomologist, I like those too, but I preferred the flapping kind, you know. That really fascinated me, that whole world, just insects. You know, you can live very large, but you can also dial it down. My father used to make me balsa wood frames, and we would go and collect butterflies out in the fields in New Jersey. We'd be driving by in his 55 Buick, and I'd say, "There's one, Daddy, go, stop the car, stop the car." And we'd get out with our butterfly nets and collect them. Anyway, I mounted them with great precision, and then he made the frames, and I put milkweed and dried flowers, and I was like a little door-to-door salesman. I did that for a few years. I loved that. I mowed the grass, I washed cars. I guess I was a little entrepreneur. I liked the whole concept of you know, making my own money, and I thought it was a good thing to do. Did you envision yourself as a performer in any way at any point in your life, or did you think that would come in? How did that start to come in? I never thought about that. The only time that I ever thought about that was one time my father and I took a tent outside in the backyard, and we made a brew of beer and honey, and we lit it up. You know, we had flashlights and candles in the tent, and it attracted all these moths. And I kind of had a little scenario going on with the things that would flutter around in the night, and there were bats in New Jersey, and I had my own conversations with trees. I still do. I feel very much at one with nature and that which we walk on, that which we feed on. You know, that's really me. But the acting thing didn't really come about for many years. I had a marriage, and I had 2 children, and then came to LA when I was 28.
Really? Mm-hmm. And where did you start there? I mean, you and I have hung out a couple times, and you've said, I am an amazing dancer. And you also said I was an amazing roller skater. So what was it that you came out here and started in?
Well, I did some modeling, in all honesty, in San Francisco. And I met a casting person named Joyce Selznick, who was a huge casting person. I think life is really about living it. I had my 2 little kids, and we had a lot of fun, and I knew I had to get a job, and I worked for this agency, and they said, well, you know, this woman's casting a movie. Why don't you call her up and go see her about it? And in those days, you could do that. You could go to a phone box, and you could get the yellow pages, and you know, go through.
People were accessible in the business.
They were very accessible. I called her up and I said, you have to meet me. I said, oh, I do. I said, yeah, this is Cassidy. You have to meet me. And I went over and she cast me
Really?
in a movie.
And your movie?
The Laughing Policeman.
The Laughing Policeman.
Walter Matthau and Bruce Dern.
Wow, what a cast to work with right away.
That was pretty exciting. I mean, that was.
Did you feel inexperienced around actors like that, or did you feel like you fit in very well? How did you feel?
No, totally inexperienced. I mean, Bruce Dern literally had to like take me by the hand and, you know, by the back of my dress, my nurse's uniform, and I must be getting thin. My rings are falling off. And he said, Joanna, you have to come stand over here, and we'll do the medium shot here, and then we'll walk around, and we'll kind of reenact the scene. I was really raw.
So you didn't study acting? You just kind of
Not
walked
really.
into it?
No, I had done a tiny little bit of film work with one of the photographers that you know, took pictures of me in San Francisco when I was modeling, but it was not.
It's probably your personality. Your personality just comes through when you met the casting directors and their natural.
I've always said that's the reason why I'm hired, is my personality.
I believe it, and you're very confident. I mean,
not
saying
my-
you have to meet me.
Yep.
Now,
Ballsy.
I can have an attitude. I can, and it's because at that moment it's fun.
yeah.
It's very exciting.
Now, when did you start feeling like you didn't have to struggle anymore in acting? What was there a particular film or part that you got that you're like, oh, this is gonna last? This isn't just, you know, because some people, if their looks go or they're no longer castable in a certain range, their career might be over. Where did you feel like, no, I'm an actual actress?
No, I don't think I ever really.
Still?
I guess I could say still. You know, I think that a lot of my personality is such that I'm a real ankle biter. I mean, if I decide that I'm going to do something, I stick with it. And despite all the ups and downs, and my God, if I wrote a book about the ups and downs that I've had in this business, it kind of would be shocking.
Now, can you tell us some of your most memorable moments while making any of your pictures? Because people always mention Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Blade Runner, of course, and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. What are some of the moments that you remember the most about your career?
Well, there was a story in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and I was with Christina Applegate, and we had the scene on the floor where I had to eat the M&Ms. And I really had to do it in all seriousness, and I've never done anything like that. I mean, but I was truly trying to make her laugh. And it was her first film. And she was having a time. She was really having a time, and I must have, you know, those big boxes of M&Ms. I know I went through at least one of those. There was a time when I worked with Gene Hackman in Under Fire when we were in Mexico that was pretty brilliant. We were both in a scene very much together, and after we did the scene, he looked at me and he said, "Did you feel that?" I said, "Yeah." Okay. He said, "That doesn't happen very often, where everybody in the room disappears and it's actually just the two of us."
Yeah.
And it went away. We were there. We were so present and so there. That's a very exciting moment.
That's
With
so
Hackman.
cool.
'Cause he's difficult along people, so you must have really clicked with you, because so many people have negative experiences.
I know.
Yeah.
So that was serious
He
chemistry.
adored me. If I had met him earlier on, he we would have done a lot more together. We had no problems. He got a little pissed at me at the end of one movie that the Package, because it was freezing in Chicago and the light was going, and it was one of the last scenes in the movie, and I was on the 12th floor doing the makeup and hair, and we're running up and down, and I had a few final touches that I had to do, and they were
last looks.
Get Cassidy down here now. Anyway, we were okay. We got the scene. I always know that we're going to get the scene. One of the most professional people I've ever met and worked with in my life. You came on the set with Gene, you had every line down. You didn't muck about. You knew your lines. He'd walk off.
Yeah?
He would leave.
Wow.
If it wasn't going well. He would leave if he didn't care for the director, or what the director was, suggesting.
Yeah. Well-respected man in the business.
Well, he was amazing.
Talented.
Yeah.
But as a human being, really, it's just like, it's two opposite ends of the spectrum with him, as far as
he did
people's
comedy
experiences.
better than I have ever seen anybody do comedy.
He is really good.
Brilliant at that. I copied him one time when we did Under Fire, when he was killed in the scene by the Sandinistas, by the army. He was like looking around 1 minute like, oh, you guys have to be kidding. And they all had their rifles out. And it's like they shot him, and he was like, he died like nobody I've ever seen. It was like, oh my God, you've shot me. I never forgot that it was one take. That was it. Squibs, done. Boom, he was down. And I took that performance with me to 6 Feet Under. And it was when I was doing a scene with Rachel Griffith in the car, and we were stalking my then husband because he had a girlfriend and he was in the spa. And I said, I got out of the car and I said, I'm going to go over, and I'm just, because the girlfriend came out, I said, I'm just going to talk to her. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. Don't worry about a thing. And I walked over, and I kind of, it was very cute and adorable when I walked up to the door. And the next thing I said something, and I turned and I grabbed her and I pulled her out the car door window. And it shocked everybody so badly. It just, they kept it in. They just totally loved it. But it was that reverse. It was that wonderful reverse thing, and Gene was a master at that. And I'm looking forward to finding another opportunity where I can do that, because he always did that kind of chuckle thing, and then underneath you knew he was going to kill you.
Yeah. Do you always have that moment? Do you always try to find that moment when you're filming something where you do something that nobody sees coming? Because you said that the M&Ms was one of those things that you did. Do you always try and just kind of make something spontaneous in a scene?
Absolutely. I think that there are two things that are really important with filming, and that is fun and sex. They're both extremely important. You have to have that thing shooting out of you all the time. Both mischievousness and sexuality. It's either there or it isn't. You can play with it in your mind, but
keeps the viewer interested in the character.
It engages people, but it's what runs people as well. I mean, come on, let's be honest. That's who people are. They really are. They have all these sides to themselves, and even the dark is really interesting too when you can pull that out. You just sort of flip onto that and make a study of it, and that's what's so interesting meeting you, Scott. You've wound around that business that you had with collecting information about people's lives and deaths,
Mm-hmm.
and how they died and where they died. And you had your museum. What was the name of that museum?
It was Dearly Departed. Yeah, it was the name of
Dearly
the company.
Departed. I mean, I think that's fascinating. Look at the people that want to get on those buses and go see where people lived and died.
Yeah.
It's pumped the tabloids since the beginning. Since the beginning of the
extraordinary.
industry. Yeah. So people have always been interested
Right.
in that peek inside. Yeah. So it is. Yeah.
It's compelling.
Yeah.
It's that secret part of ourselves that you go, oh my God, they were so alive.
Right.
And then the mystery and the idea that they're dead.
Yeah.
It's how do you go there?
Yeah.
How do you find that in
Right.
Jane Mansfield?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It is bizarre, and I remember as a little kid, being fascinated with Hollywood Babylon
Yeah.
in the '70s, which and I spent most of the career disproving that garbage,
Yeah.
but it was the first book of its kind, and it got a lot of us interested in that genre.
Yes.
And I just remember looking at those pictures of that car when I was a kid, just being mesmerized by it, and then we ended up getting it. So it's it's weird, but it's impractical. Like, it's like you're taking your chances when you're working, and just like this could go
James
really
Dean.
wrong.
James Dean.
Yeah.
Huge actor.
Yeah.
God of the world
Lightning
for
bolt.
his moment in the sun.
Yeah.
And his son wasn't even there when he died. He had 24, only one movie out,
That's right.
And it's so, and here we are, more than 50, it's like 65 years later
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about him. So
Yeah.
it is bizarre.
It's a ray of light that we're blessed with. I was blessed with something. I mean,
Well, it's a
Exactly.
quality that a lot of people don't have, clearly, because that's what people stand out. And the people do have that quality, the idea of them being able to pursue it and succeed at it is a totally, because a lot of people don't have that. And, I don't know, for instance, say Madonna. Madonna's amazing at what she does. She can't act. We know that. It's a fact. She's a terrible actress. But she's got everything else that you would need to succeed at that. But
see,
just
she
doesn't
had that
have it.
personality,
But she
she sang, and
well, she doesn't have a personality. That's the thing.
Oh.
She is dull. I mean, but she's an amazing person to watch on stage. But to listen to her talk, you're like, it's terrible, because it's so difficult. You want to like her so much, and she gives nothing. So there's no charm whatsoever.
I never met her.
I actually have a question kind of in that vein. Joanna, have you ever considered doing biopics of people, or do you prefer to take on a character that's never been seen or that you get to create from the page to yourself?
I've never done it.
Is that something, like say we were talking about the lava woman. Is that something that you would consider?
Cassidy
Like,
is the lava
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was going to say, is that something you would consider
love to be the
to develop,
lava,
or
but
what?
see, I could go into her.
Well,
Now,
why
I have to
not?
understand,
Lava
th-
woman
this
weird.
is a very,
Word.
the lava woman. When I lived in Hancock Park, and I would see the lava woman, and Scott, all about her, walking around La Brea and Highland Avenue by her black house, painted completely black, looking like olive oil, with this bun, this strange
Yeah.
hair,
Those
and
platform shoes.
I just, she's one of the characters I always wanted to
Yeah.
know. See, I always want to know these people. I'm fascinated by them.
I would love to see you play someone like that. I mean, I think that would be so great, this historical Hollywood figure like that people don't know about,
Well, I think we have to do her.
I think so
Why
too.
not?
I think we have to make.
I think that would be a good 10-minute segment. I can't see her carrying a whole movie.
Come on, Scott, really?
Well, you show her walking down the street and eating baby food out of jars, and then
Yeah.
that's about it. The end.
Well, you'd have to make it up. You'd
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
tell
create a
a story
scenario, yeah.
and,
Tarantino could take that on.
Could you
Have you ever had a character that was hard to shake off, that like you got so immersed in?
That's a really good question, but I did.
Or do you think they all
I did.
just kind of
I'm just
become a part of
remembering
you?
it now. I played a pathological transvestite
Huh.
in a Starsky and Hutch. You know, that's really dating me, but honestly, it's an incredible performance.
Really?
And I would go out at night as this redhead, which I was many years ago, and then I would seduce these men, and I'd take them back to my apartment, and I'd give them tea, and I would go in the other room, and I would put on, I'd lean over like I did in the Smokey the Bear commercial.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Pull my hair off.
We got to talk about that.
Right. And then put on a dark, short wig, and put on a man's suit with a hat. The man's suit was, oh no, I can't forget his name, I'll get back to it. Anyway, very famous actor, and I was wearing his suit. And I would go out and I would kill these men. And that it stayed with me for a while.
The mentality of getting into it, or the wearing the suit and everything, or
it was pretty weird. It was really bizarre because I had to. There's something that not a lot of actors do that I've seen. Russell Crowe does it. Russell will be in a scene, it'll be his close-up, he'll be looking at something or someone and never blink. I mean, never blink. And it can be 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I did a scene in there where I didn't blink for 4 minutes.
subconsciously or intentionally?
Intentionally.
That would be difficult.
That would be difficult.
Wouldn't your
Wow.
eyes start watering and stuff? I mean,
All
wouldn't you-
kinds of things.
Yeah.
You want to shut your eyes so badly. You want to just call it a day, but it had to be that because she was crazy.
Right.
Now, I saw that you had been on one of my favorite shows, talk about crazy characters, but Taxi. What was, I've never seen it, but what did you do on Taxi and who were your scenes with?
Oh my gosh. What was his name?
Andy?
Not Andy, no.
Jeff Conaway.
Jim Ignatowski?
No,
Danny DeVito?
no, Danny a couple
Tony
times.
Danza?
The nice Jewish.
Yeah.
Judd.
Yes, that's.
Oh, Alex Rieger.
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
dating Rieger?
Yes, I was dating her. And I played like a barmaid.
Really? I love that show, so I just had to ask you about
was
that.
something.
Now, I saw that, crazy bit of trivia, were you up for almost cast as Wonder Woman?
Yes.
What? Because I was sitting here saying, I bet you this came down to, well, we've got a redhead and a brunette. Which one do we want to go with? Do you know, like, how far in, and what did you do for the auditions of Wonder Woman when that came about?
You know, I did it all the way, costume and everything, and I don't know who else. It was Linda and myself. I just, you know, honestly, that's a period of time that was a little erased for me. It was a long time ago, but after I did the audition, I went to my modeling agency, and there was a younger girl that came in, and she said, she told me this recently. She said, "I want to look just like her. I want to be just like her." And I had the costume on.
Yeah.
And I thought, was this a joke? Was she kidding? Anyway. That would have changed everything.
Do you think that would have made you less of a serious actress? I mean, do you think that you would have ever not been able to be seen as Wonder Woman, or is that something you would have liked, just to be Wonder Woman forever? I mean,
No, I think what I like to be is mysterious, not serious.
Yeah,
I kind of do.
that's great.
Me too.
Now, can you tell me, I read online there was a story about when they were re-releasing Blade Runner that you made a suggestion about how they should change how it was originally shot with, like, your stunt double or whatever. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I just, I went back. We never got the dance scene done, number one. We never did that. Never shot it. They ran out of money. It was the end of it. There was a strike coming up.
And you were really looking forward to doing it, weren't
I
you?
had rehearsed that thing. I had that thing so good. It was my snake. So we knew all the moves, and Ridley was going to build this phenomenal set with the dunes, like with Dunes, where the snake and I would be coming out and meeting each other. It was just amazing. Anyway, we didn't get to do that. that was terrific. They threw a stunt woman in at the end. They wouldn't let me go through the glass, so it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They put a horrible wig on her. She did a great job, Lee Pulford. Terrible wig. I could always see it.
Yeah.
I demanded, I kept saying, we have to reshoot that. So 25 years later, I still had the costume. Got a bunch of guys together, Warner Brothers. It was the guys who did all the special effects. We set it up in front of a green screen. I had my scene up there, and I literally redid it.
That's great.
Shot from here up. And they put it in the movie. You would never know. It's 25 years
Are you
later.
satisfied now?
Oh, I'm so happy.
You're happy the way it came out?
Another thing too, they didn't. They shot someone else on the divan. Who is she? I made them reshoot that.
That's awesome.
And then I don't know, 8 years ago, I shot my dance, my snake dance.
So tell me about that. You told me you are a fantastic dancer and you were a fantastic roller skater. Can you tell us some of the great stories of your dancing and roller skating days?
Oh gosh.
I love you told me like you had one with Ringo, of course, but
Yes, well, I used to skate with my kids down in Santa Monica with the snake around my neck.
no kidding. Oh, you're one of those LA characters.
Oh, I really am. I really was. I just, you know, I also put off the producer who came to audition with me. Elliot Gould is my friend, and Elliot tried to get me in so many movies with him, and I always did something bizarre. So the producer was coming to my apartment to meet me, and I had the snake around my neck. And he just said, "Gotta go." I never got the part.
Oh.
I don't know. I've just been you know, I'm elusive.
It's true. But that's been great for your career because even, during COVID, when we had lunch, you said, "Oh, I was in Puerto Rico. I've been working." Like, you've been filming. You've been actually, for as few people getting to act right now and make a living, you've actually got to go work. What were you working on and who with?
I was doing a film with Isai Morales called Simone that Betty Kaplan has directed, and her husband Peter Raleigh produced it. It's a book that was written in '94. Alejandro Lalo, yes. And they had shot most of it before COVID hit. She had 3 weeks left to go, and there was a part in there that's sort of crucial to the storytelling. So I knew Peter many, many, many years ago, and he said, let's get Joanna. Let's bring Joanna over. So they did.
That's great.
And it, I don't know.
Do you have as much fun now making pictures and filming things with all the changes and the way things are being done? Not even just with COVID, but I guess just with time. Do you enjoy it as much as you did when you started? Or is it a different style?
It's very different now. I mean, it really depends. It depends on the cast, and it depends on the director. I mean, I did a television series with John Hawkes.
He's so cool. Such a nice guy.
I've done 3 projects with John. I love him. And Jesus, we did the series, a very bizarre series, and we would do like 9-minute takes.
Wow.
That's incredible.
I've never done that in my life.
You must have great chemistry to keep it going like that. Like, I mean, on screen with him.
It didn't end up in the movie. I mean, in the series, but 9-minute takes. I mean, that's really asking a lot, especially when you're laying dead on a bed. And I thought, when you're laying there and on a hard bed and your body just starts to ache.
Yeah.
All I can think of was the Jews in the attic.
Oh yeah.
They could do it. I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm. Excuse me.
No, that's.
Excuse me, everyone.
Sometimes you have to go that way. Yeah, you have to go there.
Some kind of mental craziness. I hurt so much. I was trying not to scream, cut.
Yeah.
It was awful. And then I thought, well, oh my God, there's people hiding and they couldn't move. And so I plucked things out of the air to relate to, so that I could.
That's absolutely what actors do. I mean,
Yes.
you're apologizing, kind of, but you shouldn't, because that's really, you're teaching everyone that's where you go to get the emotions that you bring onto camera.
Part of the places where
Yeah.
you go. Sometimes, I mean, imagination is everything.
My friend Shelley Winters, I know we were talking about, I was friends with her. She was in the Dyer Van Frank, and she was also Jewish, and so she told me, she said, I had my family, I had people that died in that, so that's where she went when she was
Yes.
filming that. She had to take that mindset of
Exactly.
really getting into, she quit being Shelley Winters and she just became Mrs. Von Dam 24/7. That's the only way she could play it.
That's
So
what you do. You transit. You go into the other dimension,
yeah.
and you find that person there, and you are with them. You're with them.
What's your favorite thing that you've done in your career, would you say? Or what's the thing that you're most proud of? Maybe even your awards. I mean,
Oh, I've liked so many things. I did a series that no one saw. It was called Call Me Fitz with Jason Priestley. We
really?
were a used car salesman family, and I've never laughed so hard in my life. But I won 2 Canadian Emmys, and it really pleased me. It was like Buffalo Bill. I won a Golden Globe for Buffalo Bill, and Dabney was just so brilliant.
Great actor. I had seen you worked with Dudley Moore.
Oh, that's
How
cool.
crazy, I mean, a show with Dudley Moore, what was he like to work with or work off
Played the
of?
piano all the time. Played the piano a lot. I think he was getting a divorce, so he was most happy when he was musically inclined.
Yeah.
But we had I mean, it's awful when you think about it. Here we are professionals, and Dudley and I had a couple nights where, you shoot 2 scenes. If it's an audience show, you do the 6 o'clock one, then you do the 9 o'clock.
The live
they do
tapings, yeah.
Yeah, live tapings, and then they rewrite everything. And there were a couple times that we would look at each other and fall apart. I mean, just die laughing, and it was terribly unprofessional. And we would really try. Well, Carol Burnett did that.
Absolutely.
She absolutely did that. I wish they had filmed some of that. They probably did. It's probably somewhere in some archive. Dudley and Joanna falling apart. Doing
That's
the
so
thing together.
great.
But I
Wow,
mean,
that's so cool.
I did.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, not only the range of people that you've worked with, but the range of people that wanted to work with you. They're all people that have very... Dudley, I feel like, he created Arthur and people saw him as Arthur. But you actually have been able to create so many different characters that you get to do more than, what he's kind of pigeonholed as people seeing him as. I think that's kind of interesting to know how you work off of people like that,
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was very pigeonholed for a while as, the 3-patch nude replicant, but can't go around like that all the time. But there's something that's stuck in there that's people go back to that. But yes, I've had great opportunities to play all kinds of.
And I'm sure you get approached by people constantly reminding you of all of the characters that you've played out in public, right?
So you can tell what kind of person it is by the movies they bring up.
What are the most frequent that you hear? Can I ask?
I bet.
You put the Kleenex industry.
Well, I'm right on top of that rose.
Right.
Totally.
I bet.
Get that all the time, which I think is adorable. That was an adorable.
Did you ever
movie.
think that would live on like that when you filmed that
had-
movie?
That I had no idea. I knew Blade Runner would, but I didn't. I just knew it was adorable at the time. And I'm really blessed. I'm really fortunate that I've been able to play in this world amongst some really brilliant, interesting people.
You've made some amazing art.
Yeah.
I will say that, both in dramatic and comedic. I mean, that's saying a lot when you can do that wide of a range. Thank you so much for letting us just pick your brain today, Joanna. This was so fun.
Mwah. Really, really fun to talk to you. Thank you.
Scott, do you have anything you'd like to ask her in closing, or anyone else?
My questions would be, I'd like to know about some of the people you worked with, but I will ask you, what is your favorite movie? Not of your career, but just in life. Which is
in life?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as your job, the things you worked on, I'm curious about that as well. But I'm just curious, what movie or movies when you're
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah, I really loved that. I loved all the early movies with Joan Crawford and Betty Davis.
Yeah.
Do you love Betty Davis more or Joan Crawford more?
Kind of leaning towards Betty.
Me too.
Yep. But Joan
Yeah,
did it
You
all.
can learn a lot from both.
Oh,
Had
They
you
were-
ever met any of them before? Do you have any
I
stories
didn't
about
meet either of them, but I met
Lucy?
Rosalind Russell.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I lived 2 houses away from Marilyn Monroe, her death house.
Wow. And you
Always haunted me. It haunted me. It haunted me.
I was probably looking in your windows.
yeah, you probably have met Scott before.
Well, who is your favorite actress? And your favorite actor? Who
I
are your
have no
favorite?
question about it. Ava Gardner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She was my heart. She lived her life. I feel her. You know, she didn't really want to be an actress. She wanted to live, and boy, did she live.
Sounds like you have too.
I kind of have.
You're the current Ava Gardner. Well, thank you. Everything that you've done for cinema, Joanna. Is there anything that you're looking forward to making in the future? Maybe Lava Woman?
Maybe. There was a project that I wanted to do that maybe I'll get a hold of one day. It's called The Greatest Madam in New Orleans. Wonderful love story. That's like I always try and whenever I do things I try and find the love in a story. I try to relate to characters like it's peculiar love or it's always a love story.
Yeah.
Well,
There's always chemistry.
would you ever want to play somebody that's just despicable? I mean, that you could not find any redeeming
Heck
quality
yeah.
with.
I played someone who was
Yeah.
despicable. I played Margaret Chenoweth.
Yeah.
I was a despicable
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
But didn't you love her
Yeah,
in a way?
for sure.
Scott won't answer.
All right, never mind.
You're saying you got to find some angle on it, that you can process that makes some kind of heart in there. I imagine some feeling, but I just imagine.
Because everyone has a good heart to start out with.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know,
like to
they
think
really
so.
do.
You like to think? so?
Somewhere, yeah.
Things
they do.
happen, things change. It's like animals.
Yeah.
You can have a wonderful baby animal depending on how they're treated.
Yeah. Right. I
That's so
agree.
true.
You know, I think it's all in there. But I think to find those things like Christian Bale finds people that I just go, oh my God, I would love to have a few challenges like that. And if you want to know my favorite actor, it's Tom Hardy. There it is.
Tom Hardy.
I would kill to work with him. It's a little late in life.
I don't know. You never know.
You never know. But I mean, he.
Now you're putting it out there. That makes it.
I know it's in the.
Now when Tom watches this, he'll know that you're looking forward to working with him as well. So
It'll happen now.
Yep.
thank you so much, Joanna.
Sweetie.
Yes,
Thank you.
Well, my friends, we're going to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with Joanna and hearing about her amazing career. What a great woman she is. But our day is done. Thank you, Rick Whitney, JSC1, Trace Agar, Robert Barrow, Jonathan Shadle, and Levi Clifton for becoming my newest Patreons. We'll see you all next time. Have a great night and goodbye.